name is Alena, and I'm designer here at Experts. And today I'm going to tell about chasing the goals and my way of doing it. And it's going to be an easy breezy session, no smart facts or serious speeches. So let's start. And you've probably heard a lot of discussions about producing the results and achieving the goals. But what if you don't have any and you have no idea how to start or how to find them? And these are the questions that I faced myself when I was trying to obtain my personal mission and professional goals. And I've tried various techniques, and some of them work, some of them didn't, but I hope would be helpful for you. So how did I get to those questions? Before I joined Experts 3 years ago, I've never worked with personal objectives or performance reviews. I know that not every team in Experts works with PPR, so a couple words about what this practice is. This is one-on-one meeting with your team lead every 6 months to review your work and achievements and to define a couple of goals for the next decade. And how did that process look for me before? So one of my colleagues started a design course and I decided to join. The other one asked to help with the presentation and I agreed. And at the end I said, okay, this is my first goal and this is my second one. So they appeared due to some circumstances and they were kind of outer goals. So I've asked myself, what if I first decide what is important for me and define my points of growth, and then find the tasks that would help to develop them. And that's how I've started to look for my personal objectives. And almost every practice or every article that I've read started with the analysis when you are trying to evaluate your potential. And there are a couple of methods to do that. You'll probably need a pencil, a paper, and some patience for them. So you may start asking some questions to define your potential, like what are you good at, what do you like, what are your strengths and weaknesses, and this would give you the direction where to start. I like both writing and drawing during those exercises, and one of my first self-analysis draft says that my biggest failure was that I've started the self-analysis too late. And then you can also define your values, because this is what actually motivates and guides you. You can define whether you are an individualist or you need to belong to a group or a movement. Are you driven by money or success or ideas? For me, having a mansion or some jewelry or flying on a jet does not motivate me. And instead, the sense of making something right and helpful gives me a sparkle and continuous interest. And some of you may know this tool, Life Balance Wheel, which represents a circle. And for this exercise, you will need the scheme of this wheel. And the circle is divided into 8 sections, which represent areas of your life, and 10 grays, which represent progress in those areas. And the tool helps you to consider each area of your life in turn and assess what's off balance. So you could identify areas that need more attention. It should not necessarily be a circle and 8 areas. On my drafts, you can see 10 areas and progress bar divided into 10 grades. So first you define the areas, assess your current state and set up ideal level, and then make a plan how to improve them. Then once you have identified your potential and what's important for you, you can start envisioning your goals. And I've divided those methods into 2 groups, hard and soft. It's very subjective, but all the methods in those groups have something in common. First one is based more on analysis, and the second one on emotions, and visualization. So by hard goals, I mean that they have some measurable objectives. And the first practice is called Dild's pyramid. I learned about this model lately, but I found that it correlates with many practices, and it's the basis of many other methods that we will discuss later. So these are the logical levels from environment to vision, and they represent levels of change. So they serve to clarify where a problem or a goal is located. So you start asking the questions on each level and find the level where the problem is based, then analyze the level that leads to it and how it can be solved. Each upper level is affected by a lower one, and if you are missing something, you can take a step back and decide what you can change. If you find it hard questioning yourself, you can try test yourself. There are different tests to identify your personality type, your strengths or preferences. So this one is called after psychologists Myers and Briggs, who were the followers of Jung's theory, and they wanted to identify individual differences. So they formed 16 personality types that define your strengths and weaknesses, possible career preferences, and compatibility with other people. So my type is the protector, and it says that I am a control freak. I like the order, the structure. I like when everything is well planned and organized. And so when I did it first time, it was no surprise for me. But when I did it the second time recently, I found that one of its main features is the desire to serve others. And surprisingly, it correlates with the commitment I gave myself recently to pay more attention to my personal needs and wishes. So if you look at these results carefully, you can always find some points of growth. And what's interesting, when I did single exercises, it did not give me a proper effect. But once I got enough data, I started seeing some repeating items and patterns, and these are meant to be my core wishes and goals. There are also some other tests like job preferences tests, which help to discover the job fields that fit you best. Goal orientation tests that shows the underlying motivation, or professional authenticity tests, which shows how closely you are to your ideal version of yourself. And I will provide you the links to those tests at the end of the session. And you can also act at contrary and find not only what you want to do, but also what you don't want. And actually, this is how the design community started. Some of you may probably know about the activities we have inside design team, like a Slack channel, Dix Design Digest, Instagram account. We have our own webpage and some activities inside the team. So it all started from my pain point when I came to my team lead and said that I feel we're very isolated in different projects and we need to communicate more as a team. And he suggested me to try some activities to involve the team. So when you see the problem, you may consider it like a next point of growth. Now we move to the next section, soft goals, which are hard to measure, and they refer more to some feelings, emotions, and visualization, and give you the direction where to move. To me, they are very effective because they act like a carrot in front of a donkey, because the more I'm able to create a strong picture of life when the goal is achieved, the more magnetic this future will become for me, and the more I will want to reach it. So first exercise is called centenary. It's your 100 years anniversary. And you need to imagine the day of your celebration like you've lived a long and happy life full of interesting and thrilling events. And you're trying to recall what did you do during your life and what did you achieve? Where have you been? Who was around you? What did you feel? And then when you read it, if you wish those dreams came true and you are ready to try, then you're on the right path. Then you can go closer to present and imagine your life in 10 or 5 years, and you can use Dield's pyramid and its levels, but instead of the current state, imagine like it's your perfect fantasy. It's good both for personal and professional objectives, depending on the angle. So if you're thinking of your career, you can imagine like you're an expert, a master of your craft. And what would be your perfect environment? What company do you want to work? Who would be your colleagues? What projects do you want to do? What would your perfect workday look like? What tasks do you want to do? And what skills do you need for that? And so on. Then when you already imagined you're super professional and headhunters are dreaming to have you and they're ready to sign any contract at your wish, at your terms, so what would be your perfect contract? You are free to choose your salary, your working day, your projects, or areas of responsibility. And this brings you to the ground and helps to see not only what you want to do, but also how and on what terms. So I found that my interest is beyond only UX tasks, and I like all types of visual design and digital formats, as well as creating concepts and planning strategy. And the next method wraps previous in one. It's by Dave Weiser, who is CEO at Get Taxi, and it's his vision of life areas on planning horizon. So he focuses on profound wishes and switches from task making to happiness maintenance. And his method is based on 4 steps. First, you need to imagine that your current well-being does not depend on your achievements and you're already happy right here and right now. And then you realize what brings you this harmony and what fulfills you, and define areas that are important for you. And then in 30, 40 years, how would they change, or would they remain the same, or will the proportion switch? And the idea is to start developing now what would be important for you in future. And then you define actions required to get there and start planning. This is the 4th step. So this gives you not the goals, but direction where to move. So from million choices, you would pick the right one that would bring you to the point. And I hope that every one of you has a list of wishes to dream of, but if don't underestimate this tool, because often our goals are buried under some restrictive attitudes or burden of reality. And you'll need to shake your imagination and memory and reveal all of your wishes and everything you ever wanted to try. So the trick here is to not limit yourself and assume incredibility, like everything is possible. And the more wishes you'll have, the better, because it's easy to come up with first 20, but when you go with 50 or even 100, this is where the magic happens. And one of my friends is very ambitious and always have big dreams, like to dance on a Broadway show, or to be on a cover of Forbes magazine. And this big dreaming is the skill I want to develop myself. But for now, my wildest dreams are a house by the sea, a billboard with my project, and a helicopter ride. So I found that for me, dreams were meant to escape from reality and had nothing to do with this reality. Like there are two parallel universes that never come across, and I did not dare to dream. But the more I practiced, the easier it was to realize what I wanted. And now I like to make a visual mood board for my wish lists as well. And I like to refer to it from time to time and see if it resonates me. And the last exercise from this section, I like it a lot because it's nice both for self-analysis and for discussion with your family and friends. So you need to imagine like everything is free in the world now, or you won a lottery, or you inherit a fortune from your uncle. And money is really no object. So what would you like to do then? What will actually bring you joy, and will your current job still be what you want to do forever? And you need to keep thinking unless you'll find an option that motivates you to take an action. And in case you come up with an option that is unacceptable or has some restrictions, you can try to understand what values attract you there and probably find some alternative solution where those values can be applied. And after I did all those exercises, it was time to observe all of my lists, analyze them, and see how I could integrate them in my current life and what I need to do. So I've started reading the list and found some patterns and repeating items. I found what seemed most important for me and what resonated me at the moment. Then I choose 10 items and try to evaluate the results from the outside, like somebody else is watching and seeing some of the opportunities for me. And then it's time to assess the reality and answer how that correlates to what I want, and probably I'm missing something. And then to start planning the strategy of changes. So my current process looks like this. I first visualize my future in a year or 5. Then I select and prioritize the areas on a wheel. Then make a random list of wishes and arrange those wishes into areas. And then make a plan divided into steps. And recently I've started also to review the goals from future perspective, 30 or 40 years horizon, and this is a compass that I can refer to. And I wanted to add that this process has no end point. It's the dialogue with yourself that never ends. So what helped me? Being honest with myself, daring to dream, and never stop questioning. And my commitment for now is to try as many ideas and paths as possible, because your own idea appears only when you have the actual experience of what you want, and you can't know until you taste it. So as I said before, the goals appeared due to some circumstances and they were outer goals. But now making decisions and picking the right choices is much easier when I know where it would bring me and having this broader perspective on my mind.